Hey, top of the day, top of the kings. And not to brag, the chain's expensive, a lot for the ring. Been through a lot, even had to cop a squat in the bing. But that's okay, cause I came home and I hopped in that thing. And dead or alive, that's just the way the streets leave you. It's the difference between the streets and street legal.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Street Legal. I'm here with my co-host, Link, and we have our special guest tonight, Bryan Brown, a well-known, experienced criminal defense attorney in Suffolk County. Right. And tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about the legalization of marijuana in New York State and how the usage and prosecution of marijuana over the history of the state has led to many disadvantages in the minority communities. So tonight, that's going to be our topic. We'll kick off. We have our phone lines are open, so anybody wants to call in with questions, we're here, 631-833-0000. Again, legalization of marijuana in New York, and I have my co-host, Link, and Bryan Brown. Welcome, everybody.
Okay, what's going on, y'all? Link. My questions are for Bryan. I also have some questions for Bob. And it is about the way marijuana has affected everybody different, according to race, according to region, according to where you are located. If you're from minority neighborhoods, you've been adversely affected more than other people. So my question is, say somebody does come in, and being that, you are a well-known and respected lawyer, somebody does come in and they have criminal cases for marijuana, right? And this was before, though. We're going retro at this point.
Prior to the law changing.
Okay. And they come in and they say, well, I have marijuana charges. It's for this amount. It's for smoking. It's for whatever it is. Like, just, everything outside of a DUI, because we know that's still not legal. Right. You still can't smoke and drive. Right. But anything outside of the realms of a DUI, how would you say it would get handled as different from a black defendant and a white defendant?
I don't think there's any difference in actually handling the case, but you're what you're going to see is you're going to see for every 10 black people that come in with marijuana charges, you might see one white person.
Yeah, more of the minority community cases made it to the courtroom as opposed to the white person or that class made it to the courtroom. Once it was in the courtroom, I think they were all treated the same. I don't think there was any.
Unless you have like pounds of marijuana, right? You get an ACOD or.
So you're saying as per the charges that actually get brought to the light.
And prior to recently, the old thing we all grew up in, the old thing was marijuana was the gateway drug. That was your drug.
Right.
That was you started smoking marijuana. Right. You were going to be then on to cocaine and heroin, and so that was considered the gateway drug, which I think's been proven wrong.
Of course.
Well, there's no science to that.
There's no science there, but that was what we were taught. That's what society wanted us to believe. Mm-hmm. My mom, God bless her, she thought you smoke marijuana once, you were a drug addict forever, and we're trying to get her to smoke, but she won't. At least the marijuana, not the cigarettes. But Bryan, you've handled thousands of criminal cases over the course of your career that started out with a car stop and marijuana. Right. Describe how that's going to change now with the law, and now how marijuana is no longer a pretext for a probable cause to search a vehicle.
Okay. So I'm going to be like negative Nancy right now because
no, not you, Bryan.
No, not him.
I don't think anything's going to change. I mean, I think you have legalization, but I think the communities most affected or over policed are still going to be getting stopped. They're still going to be saying, "Oh, I smelled marijuana," and
but my understanding is that's no longer a reason to search a car.
Exactly.
Right. And for the people who watch, but for the people who watch in my community, when you say over policed, what do you mean by that?
Well, like a community that's over policed. Like there are parts of almost every community in Suffolk that are over policed. So you could live in Huntington Station is over policed. Okay. You could live in Amityville. One part of Amityville over policed. You never see police. Right. One part, there's 10 police cars.
All right.
You go the same thing as at the Bellport. There's a nice part of Bellport. There's a part of Bellport that's over policed. Mastic Beach. You can say that in every community where there's over policing, which a lot of these car stops got to the next level of searching the vehicle or searching the person with the alleged smell of marijuana.
Right. Well, alleged. That's the key.
We've handled, Bryan and I can say this, we've handled, hundreds of cases where that was the pretext for the stop, and then ultimately no marijuana was found.
Right.
But you found other contraband that the person was ultimately prosecuted for. And I think, with the legalization we're going to have a change in that, where the cops are going to have to come up with other avenues to search a vehicle. And like Brian's saying, he thinks that's still going to happen, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's still going to happen. We're still going to have the, questionable searches. It's just not going to be based upon the marijuana.
Well, it sounds like you're saying as long as the over-policing exists, then we're going to have that as a problem too then.
There has to be a change in the policing. It also has to be a change, and we talked about this on the first episode, Fred. It's like, what responsibility do the communities have to the people? Like, why are the stops taking place, which is one thing, but when we get to the next level, why is there contraband in that car? Like, what's going on in these communities? Why, there's guns and there's drugs in these cars when they're getting stopped? The stop and the search may be one thing, but what, as a society, do we need to do in those communities to get to that next level? Why is this going on?
No, that's kind of easy to answer.
We can always point the fingers at the cops. We can point the fingers at the prosecutors, but there has to be some shared responsibility amongst these communities.
Well, I'm gonna take the responsibility I feel like I can take for the community. And when I say I'm speaking for myself and for my views about what my community goes through and why it goes through that. I believe that there was a government agenda put in place to make sure that all the music that our kids hear is negative. It only pumps violence. It pumps drugs. It pumps the need to fit in by being some super gangster. But there's nothing educational in the music that is promoted to our youth daily. We get literally no form of educational or informational music. Everything that is radio approved or that makes you a hot artist, you have to be talking about doing something negative in your community.
Yeah, but that's just in minority communities. There's a lot of good music out there. You can't say that about the country music. You can't say that about...
Well, country music doesn't promote murder and drug selling.
So why is that type of music so popular in those communities?
Well, it's because it's government agenda. It's like it's bigger than that. Let's say you have this, right? If companies like Ennis Broadcasting were to take responsibility and say, well, we're not going to push that kind of music because we can see the results of this music directly affecting the children. We can directly see everything being said in the music being played out in the neighborhoods.
Yeah,
but Ennis doesn't do that.
I want to disagree with because a big percentage of the hip hop music is purchased by white middle class people.
But they're not the only ones who hear it.
The big part of that market. That's the big part of that market.
Right.
So I don't know if there's a government agenda to promote that kind of music in the community because.
But think of
30 years ago that music didn't exist.
30 years ago that music did exist, just not on that level.
We had other type of minority artists that were very popular in soul music.
Line 1, Dennis.
We have a call on line 1.
Okay.
Our first caller today. Dennis, welcome to Street Legal. You are live.
Yes, hello.
Go ahead. You have a question? We have Link, and we have our special guest, Bryan Brown, tonight.
Thank you. So, I don't have a question. I just want to thank you all for having this conversation and bringing this to the community. Link.
Yo, what's going on? It's good to have you call in, man. Yo, he represent Bellport, the community in Bellport, North Bellport. Trying to keep it clean. And
Dennis, listen, I appreciate you calling in. And anytime, we'd love to have you on as a guest. We're looking to, bring the name Street Legal, bring the streets and the legal community together, and try to be a positive influence in people's lives.'re not here, to pick apart anybody. Everybody's opinion counts. Like I said, we're looking to do good things with this show.
Yes,
And
I see. I've tuned into several episodes, and I do appreciate what you all bring to the table. Thank you all for having this podcast or this show to help out the community. I respect it. Thanks a lot.
We respect everything you're doing out in the community. And, like you said, give Link your information. We'd love to have you on one night. You can tell us about all the good things you're doing in the community and what we could do better as a legal community to help.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
All right, have a good night. Appreciate it.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so back to the thing. Brian, we had talked about the usage and prosecution of marijuana laws have, adversely affected minority communities overwhelmingly.
Yeah.
True to say?
Yes.
Okay, why do you think that was put into place?
So, a good friend of mine, Deb, she put me onto this documentary called Grass is Greener. It's a Netflix documentary, I think 2019.
Yeah.
And it just goes...
Okay.
Oh.
Hang on one sec.
Hang on, we're going to pick up that thought, Brian. We got another caller on line 2.
Yep.
You're live on Street Legal.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I am a client of Bobby's. He represents both my husband and I.
All right, Rachel, we don't talk about anybody's particular cases in fact, but we just appreciate you calling in. This is, we don't want to get in any legal issues with anybody's particular case, but how are you?
Right.
Good. I just want to say, as far as the marijuana goes, I've been stopped and searched multiple times when there wasn't even an odor in the car. I feel like a lot of the times it's just used as an excuse to, search your car, and it's as long as they say they smell it, then that's it, and they'll find other things while they're looking for it.
And Rach, if you don't mind, because I'm not going to put you on the spot, but we talked about the minority community. Are you minority? What?
No, my husband is actually. I was going to say that my husband is African American. He's definitely treated a lot different in court. Judges are a lot different towards him, and not to get into specifics of cases, but he gets treated equally when we use Bobby. He gets better deals than people of a different race using private lawyers as well. But everyone is treated equally. But definitely, my husband, I feel like, faces a lot more of they definitely target him more than I'm targeted. So this is a topic that is very important to me.
And you say a lot of these stops, they say they smell marijuana and never was there, and the car gets searched. And
exactly. No, even when there's not marijuana in the car, I've been in instances. But yeah, that's it. I just wanted to call and say thank you guys for doing this. Bobby, you're the best. And that's it. Have a good night.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Bye-bye.
All right. Apologize for interrupting, Brian. Go ahead. Talking about the
Netflix.
documentary, Netflix,
Yeah,
2019,
documentary,
Grass is Greener.
Grass is Greener, and it goes into like the history of, essentially. I'm not going to like pretend that I've seen this documentary more than a couple of times, but it goes into the fact that jazz musicians back in 1930s,
Right.
20s, they were all smoking marijuana. Louis Armstrong, back in the day, was big marijuana smoker, and so it was really tied to the music, tied to jazz. Billie Holiday, all these famous jazz people,
Right.
and so what ended up happening is the government created like department of narcotics, and they were so afraid that
Right.
the jazz musicians were going to attract all these white people to
Right.
their music, that they went after them through
Prosecuted on
marijuana
marijuana.
laws, as well as the Mexican community in Los Angeles. So
Learn something every day.
marijuana is
So,
cannabis.
Brian,
Marijuana is cannabis. The United States government changed the word cannabis to marijuana to make it sound Spanish.
Sounds Mexican, yeah.
Mexican.
Yeah, it does sound
Spanish
Mexican.
language.
See, Brian, you're of the opinion that the marijuana laws were put into effect throughout this country to adversely affect the minority communities, whether you be black, Hispanic,
There's no
or
question.
Latino,
There's no question about it.
and it's not. But my question is, and maybe it's just because they're not prosecuted or stopped as much. Is marijuana use more prevalent in the minority communities than in the white communities?
No.
Do you think that the same amount of people in the white communities are smoking marijuana as the same amount in the minority communities, but just not getting picked up or prosecuted for it, or people know about it?
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's I don't know. I don't smoke, thank God.
Right.
So I just have no revelation. We have another call on line one.
Dominic, line one.
You are live on Street Legal. We have Link and Bryan Brown tonight. How are you? This is Bob Macedonio. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you are live. Go ahead.
What's up? How are you, Dominic? I got a question. I got 2 DUIs in the past. I've been railroaded from this. I got my first DUI. I was 17. It was for marijuana possession. I had an ounce of weed. I lied about it. They smelled the odor. I wasn't in my vehicle. I was in my godmother's vehicle, my family, so I was not smoking. He's like, oh, it smells like weed. I said, no. Finds an ounce of weed. Get a DUI. All right, fine. Ability impaired. All right, learned my lesson. So now, 5-6 years after that, I get pulled over. I just rolled a joint. He says license registration. I said, here you go. In case you get, an odor of marijuana, I just rolled a joint. You can give me a ticket or whatnot, And he ended up giving me a DUI for it. I was going to beat it, go to trial. I was going to take it to trial, but I had caught a felony a couple of months after that, and they said if I would have took it to trial, I would have got indicted on that. Is that now, being that the marijuana laws are different now,
I still don't have a license. I ain't had a driver's license for like 9 years.
Yeah, but see, the marijuana laws being different, and then driving under the influence of either, alcohol or marijuana is completely different. Possessing marijuana and driving under the influence is different. So I don't know if it'll have any effect on your license. I don't want to get into particulars of discussing your particular legal issue, but Brian, it's two separate issues: driving under the influence
if I may,
and the possession of it.
If I just may, you have people who take prescription medication.
Yeah.
Right, and that medication sometimes contains drugs that are like that can influence you.
That are controlled substances.
Right,
yeah.
and they will tell you not to operate machinery. They will tell you not to drive a vehicle. They will tell you not to do any of those things under the influence of that because it is still illegal. So legalizing marijuana as something to possess or something to smoke does not legalize it as something to be able to drive around on. Because you will still
alcohol, marijuana is completely different.
It's the same. It's going to be the same consequences as if weed was still illegal, because it's still illegal to consume and drive on.
Correct. Alcohol is legal. You can't drive while intoxicated.
Right.
Okay, correct.
You could have a bottle of Grey Goose in the car, but you can't be driving while you're drinking that Grey Goose.
And I understand that, but being that, like, it's real, I 2 DUIs dead sober, believe it or not.
Yeah. No,
and it's railroaded me thus far to get my license, because of the whole DMV end of it, where when DMV states as far as, how they go about it with relicensing and whatnot.
Right.
So there's nothing where it affects with,
No, you really can't go back and affect any driving while under the influences. If you had pure possession charges, those can go back and be revisited and have some of those pleas vacated or, convictions vacated, but not the driving under the influences. There's no legislation in place for that. Okay?
Yeah, that was one of the questions that I did have though.
I appreciate the call, Dom. Okay.
How far retroactive? How far retroactive does the
again, we are live.
Okay.
Any calls in 833-0000. We're talking about the legalization of marijuana, and then the prosecution and usage of it has adversely affected the minority communities. Again, we have another caller on line 1. You are live on Street Legal. Hello. Okay, we're not live on Street Legal, but go ahead, Brian. What else did you want to bring up?
This whole, I think like you would agree, just don't smoke in your car.
Correct.
Don't, if, I don't know what the dispensaries are going to have, but, usually like in California, Colorado, they have like a lot of packaging that, kills the smell.
Right.
So I'm assuming, or I'm hoping that the dispensaries here have that. If you want to play safe, just if you go to a dispensary, I think you're allowed up to 3 ounces, and you want to buy 3 ounces of pot, just put it in your trunk and wait till you get home, because no matter what the law says, laws are one thing, statutes are one thing, and then there's
reality,
like the reality of what's going to happen. And I do not buy the fact that law enforcement on any level is just going to say, oh, I smell the marijuana, but,
right.
We're not going to take you in for a DWI. We're not going to take you in or try and get into your car.
Right.
Because most car stops are not, the law enforcement says, oh, yeah, the person didn't put on their turn signal.
Brian,
That's not true.
How many criminal cases we have start with a vehicle and traffic law stop?
But what I'm saying is the car stop is pretextual. That car is getting stopped, whether it's based on an informant,
Based
confidential,
upon an alleged seatbelt violation, and failure to signal.
The law enforcement has like 1,000 ways they could stop your car. So,
but they don't have 1,000 ways where they can search your car.
Yes, but they're going to search the car anyways.
Right.
And so, for our client purposes, it's like just always say no. If you have a camera on your phone,
yeah, that's what we advise clients. My partner George and I advise clients to always carry some type of recording device. We have clients that get routinely stopped in their neighborhoods and communities, and we say carry some type of recording device.
Yeah.
So when you get stopped, that conversation with the police officer or detective can be recorded. Because we've talked about it on the other shows, Fred.
Y'all sit in this office and y'all saying that, but in the neighborhood it don't work like that. Like y'all can sit here and say that because
there are devices where you could have.
Yeah, but you're talking about cops and wandans, right? now I want to explain something to you because you can say what you want to say, and you've reviewed cases, right? So you know that what I'm saying is not going to be wrong. But you can get pulled over in Wandance, right? And pull out your phones to try and film the stop, and it will really intensify everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It will intensify the actual encounter. You pull out your phone, and it's like they become like almost oppositional to you as a person, right?
Yep.
So.
Yeah, listen, I don't know. I'm not out there, so I don't know. I'm not obviously getting pulled over, thank God, and stopped. I don't know, after this show, I may be getting pulled over and stopped a lot more. I hope not, but that's not the intention.
Okay, question for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. With marijuana now being legalized, right? Who do you see, and you, please, this is for both of y'all, who do you see standing to benefit from this? Will it be the underprivileged minority communities who...
That's one of the biggest scams in the history of
We took the biggest blow. Why don't we get first shot at legalization?
And you got another caller on the bottom.
No. Okay, we got a live call. You are live on Street Legal.
Live on Street Legal. Oh, man, I'm happy to be here, man. I'm happy to see what you guys are doing.
My man, Mr. Brooks. Mr. Brooks, Knowledge, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We got Link.
I don't know if this falls within a legal perspective, but I had a philosophy based on the legalization of marijuana and how it affected so many people. But to me, I felt like law was always the base of right or wrong. So I felt like, you really had to balance it out. But right after you did wrong for so many years, and so many people in the minority community who believed in the medicinal purposes of marijuana that's been affected with years out of their life. I was wondering what would be like the legal process to pursue some type of reparation for that, because I feel like the government is capitalizing it on the same way. They're capitalizing.
Knowledge. The problem, like we've said previously.
The same way that they've been doing it, the minorities in the neighborhoods been doing. So I feel like over time, if they're making money off of that, some of the people who was affected by that.
It's all been about
a ameliorative towards process of giving back to those people. But how would you
listen? That's going to be something the government's got to figure out. As you know, the government is only worried about the money. They're going to make billions and billions of dollars off of the legalization of marijuana. So much it's going to blow gambling away. And I don't think they're going to be able to make reparations to the people that have suffered most from this in the minority communities. I just don't think they are. What are they going to do? They're going to give out a few licenses as carrots to a couple of people that had convictions? That's not going to be enough. It really isn't.
No, it's not.
It's not. And that's just shutting up a few politicians that are going to make money off of it as well. That's all that's going to do. And the unfortunate thing is that's what's been going on in the minority community since the history of time. Politics, and they've laid money at them, and they've used and abused these communities forever by throwing a few dollars at them to keep them quiet instead of going in and fixing the problems.
Right.
Right. So there should be a way to actually actively pursue that, because I feel like the government they basically passed it through for the currency, just no different than anybody in the minority neighborhood did for the currency so that they could survive.
Well, it's gonna. You know what it's gonna take, Knowledge? It's gonna take the minority neighborhood standing up, coming together in action, and going fighting these politicians. That's what it's gonna take.
Right.
I appreciate the call. We got another call coming in line 2. We will speak to you soon, Knowledge. Okay. God bless.
Glad what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Okay.
Peace.
You're live on Street Legal.
Hey, what's up, Street Legal?
What's happening? We are here live. What's your question? We got our special guest, Bryan Brown, and Link, and I'm Bob Macedonio.
Yeah, I know who you are, Macedonia.
Uh-oh, you're going to come find me?
I was one of your clients some years back.
All right, well, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I just was calling to chime in. I was just going to keep it positive, but guess I was just calling to give a shout out for real.
No, I appreciate the call. Listen, we all the support. We're here for everybody. There's no hidden agenda. We're trying to bring the streets and legal community together. And any questions or any theories out there on the street, we're welcome. We're here. Our topics are all open.
Right. We just definitely got to keep, the hidden agenda is aware, so because a lot of people don't be aware of the hidden agenda with the legal system.
Well, that's the thing. Jamal, listen, I've known you a while, and not to get into any particulars on any cases, you had to get stopped over the course of your time, and the cops had to search your car because they said they smell marijuana. You have any experiences with that?
Of course.
Well, tell us a bit what happens. Tell what happens. So this way the public knows.
I
I mean, back then it was a little bit different. Back then from now, back then it was never no. You was just riding around, especially in Suffolk County. You just riding around smoking, or even trying to explain what you was doing with any kind of substance you're going to jail. Was never no explaining that.
You go to jail. You used to go to jail for having, one roach on you. They take you, lock you up, spend the night in jail, right?
Yeah.
One clip in the ashtray, you're going to jail.
Yeah, they know that.
And then how the people, what they don't realize is how that affects families. You have a job, okay? You got a roach in the ashtray.
Yeah.
You get arrested. Now you're in jail for a day, and then the old bail laws, depending upon your record, they could set $500 or $1,000 bail on you for a misdemeanor weed charge. You're missing a week of work. I mean, $500 may not sound like a lot of money to a lot of families trying to pay the rent, put food on the table. People sitting in jail for a week or 2 weeks with $500 bail on them. Yeah. You lost your job. Now you're losing you can't pay your rent. You can't pay the light bill. People don't understand how this has adversely affected so many lives over the years. How are they ever going to repay for all that?
Yeah, that's...
Right? I mean, Brian, how many stories you've heard about that over your career?
Probably over 1,000.
Yeah. Link?
I live it.
You live it.
It's not the stories. I actually live it. But it's going to be things with marijuana like that I really hate. Like with the legalization of it, you would think that we would have first opportunity to do something about it, like to benefit from it.
But people got to speak up. You got to get communities brought together. Shows like this. Get out there. Get vocal. Don't let the politicians control where all this money's going to go. You have to get vocal communities. We got another call coming in on line 2. Jamal, I appreciate the call, okay? You're live on Street Legal.
Hey, yo, what's up? How y'all doing, Link? What up, bro? It's Cloud.
Cloud, what's going on? How are you?
Yo, Cloud, good to hear your voice, man.
We got Bryan Brown and Link and Bob Mastonio.
Like this, alright, so...
Don't let us make you nervous. Spit it out, Cloud.
They violate us. They violate us a little bit. They do. They do.
Right.
Yeah.
They can follow us from store to store. They can follow us around the neighborhood. We can stop at every stop sign. We can use the blinkers. Follow everything right. They pull us over. Sometimes they pull us over for no cause.
Correct. Right.
Well, they might say, we see something in your ashtray. Might not be nothing in there.
Yeah.
But that'll be their probable cause.
Correct.
You want to go in your car and, what this person got, what this person got, what that person got.
No, you have... Cloud, I've heard stories where you can have 2 or 3 guys sitting in a car, in a driveway, the car not even running, just smoking, because, whatever. The family don't want them smoking in the house. They're coming, they're pulling up, getting everybody out of that car, searching everybody in that car. This goes on. We hear these stories every single day.
Right.
All started from marijuana.
Yeah. Even like being extorted. Like, I had a time before where they just ramshacked the car. No questions, no nothing.
How many times?
Anything. Just get out the car. Da-da-da.
How many times they take the car and it sits for 6 months in impound before you can get it out?
No, I never had a car taken out like that. But
well, he got about 4 of my cars back, Cloud.
Where they, what they wanted to do. Period.
Brian, how many cars you've had to have taken out because they got weed in the car?
Oh yeah.
And then you're missing car payments, not making the car insurance, the plates, miss insurance, and the license gets suspended because you can't turn the plates in. It's just snowball effects. All started from marijuana. And like Brian says, he's of the belief, and there's some shows that are out there that say this was put into place to keep the minority community down.
Then they put certain ones in the area to just work all day. That's just what they do. You can ride past them. You can ride past and look at them. Even if you look at them, they want to turn around. Just because you looked at them.
Correct. Listen, I've had guys pulled over on their bicycles. Bicycles. So it's not just driving in a vehicle.
That's because they ain't got nothing to do. They ain't nothing to do.
You are what they got to do. Don't you understand it? Like, you are the agenda. It's not like happenstance that this is happening to you. Like, this is set in place. Like, I won't sit here and remark on quota or any of those things, but there's a certain performance that's expected from any officer who's out patrolling. He's expected to make arrests. He's expected to bring in suspects. He's expected to keep this machine rolling. This is a very well-oiled machine with many moving parts. And every officer out there is expected to play his part in making sure that machine keeps rolling.
Yeah. So we appreciate the call. We're trying to keep all this positive. You know, there are very, very good communities that have a lot of advocates out there that look to spin things positive. It's not all bad. We're not here to beat up on the police.
Right.
The police do a tremendous job on keeping us all safe. So the purpose of the show is not, to pick apart the police and say they do this and that wrong. They serve a very good purpose in this county, in the minority communities, as well as the rest of the county and the country.
Yeah.
But there are issues, and there have been adverse effects that the minority community has suffered over the years. Agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work that they got to do, though. Like, it's a lot that they got to do to make a change, period.
No.
Because at the end of the day, we ain't asking none of the drugs to come into the neighborhood.
Yeah, but it is about the way we take a stand on it too. You know what he's saying is not wrong. For us to protest and fight for different things, like there's no reason why we don't benefit the most, or at least have first opportunity to be able to get these dispensaries and all these. Like how just because you rich you just get to buy in, and what about all the people who backs that this was built on? Like that's not cool.
A lot of this money should be put back into those communities. For education, for rehabilitating the neighborhoods. That's what a lot of this money should be put into, because they suffered so greatly because of it, and that has to be brought out. But we are, running out of time tonight. We appreciate everybody. This is our third episode, Street Legal. Tune in every Tuesday night, 6 o'clock. Street Legal. We are here.
Peace.
Peace, everybody. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all. One.
Okay, you got it.
Top of the A, top of the day, top of the kings. And not to brag, the chain's expensive, a lot for the ring. Been through a lot, even had to cop a squat in the bing. But that's okay, cause I came home and I hopped in that thing. And dead or alive, that's just the way the streets leave you. It's the difference between the streets and street leave.